Hey everyone, Tristan back with another video, and in this video we are reviewing the IFI hip DAC. This is it here. What this is a portable balanced headphone DAC and amplifier in the form factor of a small flask. As you can see here, it kind of looks a little bit like a flask that you would put alcohol in or something like that. Fits nicely into a jeans pocket and has a nice form factor. And let me show you the box that it comes in. So here's the box that it comes in. And if you would like to see the specs and a lot of the information, you can go ahead and freeze frame this right here and you can read it off your screen. So one of the things that's unique about this IFI hip DAC is that it's only $149. It's also balanced, so you have both the 4.4 millimeter Pentagon balance jack here, and then you also have a 3.5 millimeter single-ended balance jack. And also the look of this is pretty cool. As you can see, it's got a unique color scheme and look to it, which is kind of cool. And again, the price point on this is really quite good for having a fully balanced DAC and amp into it. Now the maximum power output on this, I believe, is not real high. It's only like 400 milliwatts, so it's not going to drive super hard to drive headphones. However, it does drive most headphones on the market that you would probably want to run portably. Now it has a very unique sound signature in that it is a quite warm sound signature. So it is best paired with either IEMs or headphones that tend to be on the bright side. So any IEMs or headphones that tend to run bright, this will really help warm up a lot, because I would have to say that this amplifier is quite bassy. And it even has a bass boost right here. As you can see, it says X bass. If you press this button, that'll boost the bass. And I have tried that, and in my setup with my headphones that I have, which tend to be kind of warm already, it was too much. It was like way too much bass, to the point that it was even bleeding into the mid-range and stuff like that. So even without that, it was still bassy enough and pretty warm. But again, if you have headphones that lack bass, I think this little DAC would be really quite good. So as I've shown, this button here is the bass boost button, and then the button here on the very left is the power match button. And what that apparently does is whatever headphones that you have plugged into it, pressing that button will automatically match the gain to the headphones that you have plugged into it. So you don't really have a high or low gain switch on this. Having this activated will automatically do that for you depending on what's plugged into it. And then this middle knob here is the power on, and then also the analog volume control as well. It's got a very smooth volume control, which I kind of like. Unlike IFI's other portable, I believe it's called XDSD, that one has kind of a that one has a volume control that's sort of feels a little bit clicky and kind of not as nice. This one is a lot smoother and quite nice. Then you've got the 4.4 millimeter Pentagon output jack here, and then the 3.5 millimeter right there. And then going around to the other side, you can see here you've got your USB input, and this accepts the Apple USB to Lightning kit directly. So you just plug that directly in if you have an iPhone. And then right here is the USB-C jack just for charging. They also include a couple different cables, a couple USB-C cables for charging, and also they include, I'll show it to you here, IFI includes this blue short USB cable that can plug directly into the hip DAC just like that. And so when I want to run this with my iPhone, I've got the Apple USB to Lightning kit that can charge at the same time, as you see here. So I can run this blue cable and it goes directly into my iPhone. So the other thing that's kind of cool about this hip DAC is that it can also run MQA. So like if you run Tidal or something like that, it can do the MQA. It also can play DSD as well. So it can play pretty much full resolution, all the way up to DSD, including lower resolutions, such as 192, 96, 88.2. So it plays, the full assemblage of pretty much anything that you would want to throw out in terms of files. As I've mentioned, it's got the power match feature as well as the X bass feature. The output max is 400 milliwatts. It's got the balance and single-ended outputs. So yeah, one of the things I really like about the hip DAC is that it has the Burr Brown DAC chips. That's one of my favorite DAC chips, aside from the Chord Electronics DAC chips, and so that was really definitely a good choice there, because a vast majority of portable DACs use the ESS Sabre-based DACs, which I really don't like the sound of. Those tend to not sound really very involving, tend to be a little bit brittle sounding in my opinion. So I think the Burr Brown DAC chips in the hip DAC is really a winner. So for $149, this is really a nice, portable rig, and certainly it doesn't have quite the resolution of something that's more expensive, like the Chord Mojo, and that is noticeable when you're listening. But it is a pretty, euphonic sound, for lack of a better word, in that it's a very warm sounding. So that's really nice, especially if you have headphones that are lacking bass, or that are a little bit, too cold sounding or something like that. This will give it that almost tube-like kind of sound with a bass boost that will kind of knock your socks off. This is definitely one of the bassiest amps, portable or otherwise, that I've actually ever heard. Again, but with the headphones that I have, which tend to already be a bit warm and bassy to begin with, it may not be necessarily the best match. For a sound signature that's leaning more towards the neutral, this would be better paired with a headphone that sort of lacks that bass presence or lacks that warmth, and then this will then warm it up a bit. But if you're the type of person that likes warmth and bass to the nth degree, this is something that you might want to give a try, because it definitely offers that. And the output power of this is sufficient at maximum 400 milliwatts output power, I believe at 16 ohms, to drive most headphones out on the market. It's not going to drive, super hard to drive headphones, so that's something to consider as well. At $149, there's very little to complain about with regards to the IFI hip DAC. It's a great price, it sounds great, it looks really cool, and it's going to be very hard to beat in that it performs quite well in this price range. If you have a headphone cable or headphones that are capable of running balance with the 4.4mm Pentagon, and you're looking for something that is portable, the IFI hip DAC should be definitely something that you may want to consider. And like most amplifiers that can run either balanced or single-ended, the fact that this is fully balanced inside means that if you are able to, you should run it in the balanced mode, because that's when you're not only going to get the most power out of it, but also the better sound as well out of it, by taking full advantage of the balanced circuitry. Certainly it works perfectly fine in a single-ended mode, but it will sound a little bit better in the balanced mode. The sound signature does tend to get a little bit more crisp and not as sort of, for lack of a better word, muffled sounding when you're running in balanced mode, although it is still a bass heavy and quite warm sound. Really a great portable DAC and headphone amplifier for the price of only about $150. Questions, comments, or feedback, please leave them in the comments field, and I will see you in my next video, everyone.